A few years ago, I had an opportunity in social media to see a quote and a meme that really caught my attention and was something that I really wanted to share. And it was actually a quote that was made famous and that is most typically attributed to Frank Lucas, who was the subject of the Denzel Washington film American Gangster. And the quote is, "The loudest person in the room is the weakest person in the room." And it was a meme that I shared, and I thought, man, that is really deep. Because so many times we see people who really try to fill the room, that try to dominate the conversation, that try to control everything, that want their presence to be felt to the maximum, to the point that they overshadow and drown out everybody else, including people who could have value to add to the conversation. And sometimes people like this can't really help themselves. It's just what they do. But it really sometimes masks an insecurity that they're trying to hide. And so it's kind of a sleight of hand that they're trying to use to fool you into thinking that they're more knowledgeable, that they're stronger than what they actually are. Because in the end, they typically are masking an insecurity of some kind that prompts them to try to fool you by being aggressive and being assertive, to the point that you kind of look at them a little bit sidelined, like, I don't think you really know what you're talking about, or I don't think that you should really be saying much of anything. You should probably be listening more than you're talking. The old saying that God gave you two ears and one mouth because he wanted you to listen more than he wanted you to talk. And that's difficult for some people to understand, especially if you're one of those alpha type personalities that really tries to take over everything, that tries to hit the game-winning shot in basketball off the opening tip. It just really doesn't happen that way. And so it's important that when you're involved in a situation with people like that, that you understand where they're coming from, and that you sometimes let them talk themselves in the circles, because you're not necessarily going to get through anyway, because they're trying to command the attention in the room. And so it's important for you to be able to have the patience to deal with people like this and have a strategy in place to deal with people like that, so that you can still get your point across, that you can still be heard, and you can find a way to pierce the loud noise that's not really serving any purpose, to make sure that people understand what you're trying to say, so that you can actually move the conversation forward. Or if you have a problem that's in search of a solution and you think that you have a viable solution, you can penetrate the noise to get forward a solution that could be valuable to the group. And that can be difficult when you have the loudest person in the room who is typically the weakest person in the room. So don't be deterred. Don't be frustrated. Stick to your guns. When you have something to say that's meaningful, step forward and say it. Find your opportunities. You're going to have people that are going to try to drown you out, that are going to try to talk over you, that are going to try to impress people around them or above them. Don't let those people deter you. Don't let them frustrate you. Don't let them get you down. You have a purpose. You have something that you want to say. Think about it and spit it out when it's your time. Sometimes people think that the person who talks the loudest or the most is the person that has more to offer. But sometimes it's the quiet, calculating person who's digesting a lot of what they're hearing to come up with an educated response, a thoughtful response that's going to make sense. So remember, sometimes the loudest person in the room might draw a lot of attention and might impress some people, but a lot of times they're just throwing as much stuff out there as they can, hoping that something will stick on the wall that makes sense. But remember, the loudest person in the room is oftentimes the weakest person in the room.